year ago, these cops and lawyers wouldn't dare cross any of you. I mean, what happened? Change things forever. And why do you want to kill me? I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No. You complete me. You're garbage who kills for money.
You think that your client, one of the wealthiest, most powerful men in the world, is secretly a vigilante who spends his nights beating criminals to a pulp with his bare hands. And your plan is to blackmail this person? Good luck.
And welcome back to the Film Realcast, where we are going to do arguably one of the best for some superhero films. It is Batman: The Dark Knight. Hello, people.
Hello.
Good evening. You alright?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm very good. You know what? First time we've got Stu on one end, Graham on another, and Nim. Nim, you've got Skype. Nim, you are on Skype. Nim has managed to log on as well, like all of us. We are now online. What do you think of Skype, Nim?
Well, I can't believe it, how easy it was to install. I'm actually quite surprised I managed to do it without messing up my computer or anything. So, yeah, no, good.
Wow, there was enthusiasm there. I felt that. I fed from it.
That could almost be used as an advert for Skype.
Oh dear, Nim, my very own Care Bear. So Stu, I'm assuming I cannot use the internet because I'm recording this. I'm assuming you got the synopsis as usual.
I've got it open on MDB. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. But well, take it away.
Okie dokie. The Dark Knight, 2008, directed by Christopher Nolan. When Batman, Gordon, and Harvey Dent launch an assault on the mob, they let a clown out of the box, the Joker, who's hell-bent on turning Gotham on itself and bringing heroes down to his level. Wow, that's it. Brilliant, well done.
I was waiting for a pearl of wisdom there.
I know, there was just this massive pause. I was like, is he there? Is he there? And then we had a wow, that's it.
Maybe I should have like a cymbal or a set of drums or a synthesizer next to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what do we all think? What do we all? Who want to start? What did we all think of the film?
It's a brilliant film.
It's a brilliant film.
It's a brilliant film. I could sit here all night in silence and just say it's a brilliant film. I loved it. A good continuation on from the first Batman Begins. Just really, really good.
Yeah, I'm keen to learn or hear from what Nim says. He's never seen the film before. Very jealous, and I'd love to know what Nim's point of view is. Go for it.
Yeah, look, I was really looking forward to seeing this film, and I've got to say, it is a great film, but just a couple of things. It was really, really long, and the first time I tried to watch it, you're going to take the piss out of me for this, but I actually fell asleep halfway through.
Whoa.
What a surprise.
But the second time round, I managed to stay awake. And the only thing I've got to say is that it's an awesome film, but the only thing, it's just way too long, and there's too many. I thought the film should have just concentrated on the Joker, but then we've got the Two-Face character in there, and or Scarface, sorry. It was a bit too long. That's the only thing. But apart from that, I can't fault the film. Absolutely
I'm shocked.
enjoyed it.
I cannot believe you watched it and you fell asleep. I cannot believe it. Unbelievable. I thought it was a fantastic film. I mean, I went to the cinema to see it, and I saw it, I think, 3 or 4 times at the cinema. It just blew me away, and I was glad it was such a long film. I was disappointed every time it was coming to what I thought it could be an end, where, even if it ended where Rachel died, and that would have been a good enough ending for me. I'd had so much. That would have been enough. But And then it carried on, and I was so glad it carried on because there was just so much more. The story is so deep; it's just brilliant.
I think you needed that amount of time to get across everything that's in the film and everything to understand everything. If it was any shorter, I don't think you would understand half of it. And leading on to the next one as well, it just sets it up quite nicely.
Yeah, there's so many different layers to this. There's so many different plot lines and different characters who need to develop, and they're given in that 2.5 hours. They're given that time to develop, and it's just brilliant. It's not rushed, and it's done with such detail.
But don't you think that they could have used this film to kind of show the background of the Joker, how he actually came to be?
Interesting you
Because
said that.
Because they show you how Scarface is obviously developing, and I don't know if he's going to be in the third one or not. Is it Two-Face?
Yeah.
Two-Face. But with the Joker, it's Scarface. That's another film.
That is.
Harvey Dent surrounded by coke with an M16 at the end of it.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, no, I mean, I just think they could have made the Joker story a bit more elaborated on that, I think.
But you say that, and I'm going to go the opposite. I thought it was brilliant that we didn't have an origin of the Joker, like in obviously Michael Keaton's Joker, because it made him more mysterious. And the way they played the Joker, I'll be honest with you, yeah, we never really got it confirmed whether he's actually crazy or not, or whether he's doing it on purpose. I don't think he is. I don't think he is crazy.
Well, but then you look like later on in the film when Michael Caine's character is talking about when he was in the army and hunting for someone who was stealing precious gems and stuff, who didn't steal them for anything, who just stole them and threw them away because he just wanted to see the panic and stuff that it caused. And he liked the Joker to that and said that the Joker was just basically playing around with people just because he could. He didn't need any money, didn't want money, just wanted the power to cause absolute chaos.
But that doesn't mean he's crazy. For example, I think when he's talking to the mobs, they call him crazy, and he says, "I'm not."
He gets very offended by that, doesn't he?
Yeah. And it's probably the first time you actually see something get to him. And it's probably the only time in the film where, if you peel behind the layers, it actually looks like he's kind of upset. Because to be honest, I don't even think Batman really gets to him that much. Maybe a couple of times when he just wants Batman to kill him later on in the film. But you could definitely make an argument that's the very first time the Joker actually shows any true emotion, and where, in his case, he's been offended. Because when he's talking about his stories about how he got the scars, well, I'm sure we get into, you kind of tell he's just saying whatever.
Yeah, but that's what I like. There's no origin for the Batman, and throughout the film, there is no pattern with him. Exactly, you can't work him out. There's no weakness. He's uncontrollable, or he's just intent on the destruction of modern society, and for that reason, you don't know what he's going to do next. Everything he does seems that it's out of control, but there's always method to his madness. There's always a reason why he's doing it.
There is. It's a bit like, just like, and it doesn't come from me. It comes from, I think, a review on YouTube I saw years ago. But they basically akined him to, obviously, taking it literally, the Joker card. When you play your Joker card, basically, it breaks all the rules. And at the time when someone plays it, you don't know what they're going to do, essentially. And that's basically what the Joker is in this film.
Yeah, and that's what Alfred says. That when Alfred basically says that there is no pattern to him. He's just intent on mayhem and anarchy, and as we'll talk about it later on, that people with morals, breaking those morals on those good members of public and getting them to do things that they wouldn't entirely do, and getting normal people to break the rules, which is why he's fixated on Batman breaking that one rule that he wants him to kill him, which was the part from, as again, we'll talk about it later, when he's on the pod racing towards him. He's saying, come on, do it. And he gets really pissed off that Batman doesn't run him over, that he skids off, and he doesn't, because that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to make even Batman do, break his own rule, the one rule that he's got. And even Batman won't do it.
Yeah, and even if it means the Joker dying, in his head, that he still wins. But I don't think he's completely crazy in the film. I know, obviously, there's a very good case for you saying it, that you could be, but...
Well, Heath Ledger locked himself away for 6 weeks beforehand to get into the character, so you must be aiming for a bit of a nut job there.
Yeah, but to you and me, he completely does look like a nut job. But I think there's enough coincidences going, throughout the film and everything to maybe make an argument for him not being crazy, just as well as there's a very good argument for him being crazy. I mean, I think we could disagree and talk about that for hours on the fact that whether he's crazy or not.
Is he just a character in a film that doesn't really need a lot of explaining?
No, I don't think he. I think if you, I know Nim was saying about an origin story, weren't you, Nim? Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, if you made an origin story, that would humanise the Joker too much. And I think the idea is the Joker's not. The Joker is there, and it's not a character study of the Joker. He's a character been in there, and we don't know much about him at the beginning. And you could argue we have even more questions about him come the end of the film. But I think that completely adds to the film and the character itself. The fact that we're questioning the origin. Is which story is true? How did he get those scars? Is he crazy? Is he not? Why does he do that? Was he a family man that just suddenly went absolutely mental? There's so many questions I think come at the end of the film, even before, and I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I think he proves that at the start. I mean, at the bank heist scene where everyone's dressed up as in a clown's mask. And when I first watched it, it was great because I didn't know if the Joker was there or not. And who was the actual Joker? And the fact that he manipulates everyone into basically killing each other through the film until the bus crashes through the wall, then he just drives off with that money. I mean, it goes to show that he's a really clever guy. He plans things down to the last detail, and he doesn't have to kill anyone. They all killed each other.
Yeah. And
then he just leaves with the money, and he's got no interest in that money and spending it in the power. Again, it leads on to another plot line with regards to the mob, and it's Salvador Marconi. With regards to him, he's brought into it. So I mean, it's really detailed from the start all the way through the film, and he's an insane character, but he's very calculated, and he's very evil as well. I think you get that throughout the whole film. Virtually every scene he's in, he's evil, and I mean, which will lead on to the discussion of Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger, who was the best at Batman. Because I mean, my one is on Heath Ledger by miles. I think no one can ever, even there's another Batman character. I mean, they said they wouldn't bring one in.
No, the Joker, no.
No, a Joker. But I mean, even though I posted on Twitter at the Film Reelcast about the hint that there could be another Joker, because they had the Joker playing card on the set for the next Batman. So I
don't think they could. No, I don't think they could do it, because I don't think anyone else could play the Joker in that way. And now that's going to be the Joker now for the next however many years. That the Heath Ledger character, the way that he portrayed him, and or his mannerisms and all that type of stuff, and you won't get anyone that that could do that. And you just look at it and you go, no, it wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah, I think the only way they could pull it off is possibly because there is a new Batman, and that they kind of turned the page and they brought brand new characters in playing, obviously the brand new actors in playing the same characters, that they could possibly get away with it that way. Even if it was Christian Bale still playing Batman and they brought another Joker in, I think it would be a disaster. They just couldn't do it. But as it's a whole new cast, that they may be able to pull it off. I don't know what direction they...
Well, yeah, I mean, you say that, Stu, and Graham, but a lot of people before this film said there's no one that could basically beat Jack Nicholson's Joker. A lot of people were saying, you're always going to come second to Nicholson's Joker, because at the time it was so loved. And especially when Heath Ledger was announced as a Joker, a lot of people, myself included, to be honest, almost scoffed at it. Because I mean, this is the Heath Ledger from 10 Things I Hate About You, A Knight's Tale. Goofy comedy and goofy action slash comedy films. I mean, Nim, what did you think of Heath? Have you seen the first Batman film with Michael Keaton?
No, I was a big fan of the first Batman, and I agree with you. I think Heath did a great job. It was a whole new dimension to Joker.
So
definitely.
Who's the better Joker in your opinion, then?
I'd say Heath, definitely.
Why?
It just makes it much more realistic. He's a much more scarier character. And
He's more of a terrorist, I thought, rather than...
Do you know what? I think you've just hit the nail on the head there. A terrorist is how you'd describe someone like that instead of a madman, because, like you say, he's very, very calculated throughout the whole film. So, yeah, definitely, hands down, Heath is probably the best Joker out of the two.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I mean, Jack Nicholson was never scary. He followed in the character of the comic, and I know those films are completely different, and the Gotham's completely different. But Heath Ledger he plays such an evil, scary Joker who's willing to cut people's throats, carve their faces up, just kill people. And I think for that reason, it's so much more depth to Heath Ledger than there is the Jack Nicholson one.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think the Jack Nicholson one, like you say, is probably more like the one out of the 60s series, wasn't it? It's a bit more kind of tongue-in-cheek type of character.
Yeah, there's lots of one-liners and things like that. I mean, I watched that film 2 days ago. I watched it just to see what it was like, and I think it's just because I've invested so much in the newer Batman, the Christopher Nolan ones, that I didn't enjoy the Jack Nicholson one. He's a great actor, and that role suits him down to the ground, but I just think for the type of film it is and the type of Joker you need in this film, because you forget, or when I was watching it, I forget that I'm watching a Batman film. It's like a serious crime thriller when you're watching this. There's so many characters, and a lot of it is so serious. I mean, there's a huge storyline, and I think the kind of Joker they played fits this. He's a very serious person who's absolutely insane.
Graham, who's the best Joker?
I would say Heath Ledger, because I don't like the kind of comic book Joker that is portrayed by Nicholson. So I prefer, because of the dark side, I prefer the Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. Okay, but I've got to ask you a serious question though, Graham. Would Steven Seagal make a good Joker?
I don't think so. No, he doesn't make a good anything really.
Fair enough.
Apart from Under Siege, and that's it. And that's not Under Siege 2. That's just Under Siege. Just the first one. You only need to do that one. No, nothing else. No, just on a boat. No, nothing about trains. All right, just that one film. All right.
Okay.
Let it go, Graham. Let it go, mate. Let it go.
Yeah, I think we can all be in agreement that Heath Ledger is the best Joker. He did win that Oscar. Yeah. Now, and it was the first time I think a comic book film, a superhero film, was recognised as award-winning. It was the first time, obviously, someone I think had even been nominated for in terms of their acting skills. Heath Ledger obviously won it posthumously, didn't he?
Yeah.
Some people, I think they're wrong, but playing devil's advocate, some people have said had Heath Ledger not died, he would not have won that award, which I think's unfair. I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, thankfully, we'll never know. So
good.
I think that's it, really. It depends if you're a fan of the film. If you're a fan of the film, you can see what he brought to the film, and I think he deserved it. I mean, I think Christopher Nolan. I think a lot of them should have won Oscars. That film should have won a lot of Oscars. It was such a huge film. It's so good. But thanks to him dying, that we will never know, and accept it as the way it is, really.
I mean, I personally think the Oscars are up their own bums, so to speak.
They hold a lot of weight.
No, they don't. I mean, how many times? And I can understand when they have films about special subjects. For example, A Beautiful Mind and stuff, and then they tend to go towards those arty films or those films that try and make some kind of like political a statement and things like that, which is fair enough, and they'll tend to go a lot for them for best films. But I honestly think, like you were saying, Stu, for that year, 2008, I think The Dark Knight was the best film, no argument.
No. When you think that, and plus when you watch the film, there's virtually no CGI in that film. Everything that happened. The hospital, the truck flipping over, the guys. I mean, even Christian Bale standing on top of that building when he was in Hong Kong, he actually did that. All the stunts they did when those 4 SWAT soldiers came off the side of that building, they actually did come off the side of that building. The only thing that was CGI'd on was the fact that they had pads on the side of the building so they wouldn't crash into it.
Oh wow!
And the pod as well. They come up with the idea that they wanted a bike. So they made that bike, and they got some top motorcycle rider to actually test that bike and test its limits. Everything that you see on there, they actually did. And I think such a huge film to not really carry much CGI. And it was the first film, I think, to be all shot in IMAX as well.
Yeah, it's the opening sequence, isn't it, with the IMAX camera when they're going into the bank job, when they fire the grappling thing across the gap in the buildings.
Yeah,
all that
it's
kind of
incredible.
stuff.
It's
amazing.
Absolutely incredible. And in the hospital, when it blows up, the only thing CGI'd is a couple of windows in there that was blown out from the start of it. But it's huge. And when you think some of the stunts and the action scenes that happen there, for it not to be CGI'd, for them actually to make a truck flip over in the chase sequence is incredible. So I think just for that alone, the film should have won Oscars. But as you say, that you get these arty-farty films that win these Oscars just because they fit in at the right time and people vote for them. I wouldn't go and watch a film because it's won 4 Oscars or anything like that. It doesn't sway me at all.
No, I mean, and particularly when you look at some films and their critics have panned them, these professional, so-called professional people, yet that film obviously still makes box office killing. So it does show that people don't really pay attention a lot of the time, unless it's Man of Steel. No, I'm joking. Yeah. Moving on. But yeah, no, and I think, Stu, it's interesting what you're saying it is a good film, and I think if you took Batman out of it and the superhero characters and just put normal people in, I still think it would be a very good film.
Yeah, because it is a crime thriller. You lose that you're watching a superhero film with someone dressed up as Batman, because it's just done that well by Nolan. I thought it was a fantastic job.
No,
Nim, what did you think about the car park scene when there's several fake Batmen, the guys turn up in costumes? What did you think about that? Your first impressions?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a bit kind of. I think that's where I fell asleep, actually, if I'm honest. But no, it was a bit bizarre.
The beginning of the film. The beginning of
You managed to sit through 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Literally, I think, just kind of when I saw that, I was thinking, bloody hell, what's going on? Has he put on weight or something? But I didn't quite clock what was going on until Batman turned up. But yeah, it kind of makes sense that people are trying to emulate Batman, and is Batman trying to, he says in the film that he's trying to make Gotham, the good people in Gotham, do the right thing. And is that what he's trying to get across? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting that he wanted the people of Gotham to stand up and do the right thing. But he obviously, you could see that he didn't appreciate that these people were going around dressed as Batman, trying to fight crime as well. And there's a double standard in there, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I think there's an interesting bit where he's kind of got the sonar technology with the phones and stuff, and I think it was quite interesting to see that Lucius Fox's his take on when he's got that. He's like, well, I'm going to resign after this last thing you want me to see.
At the end of the film,
because because it's almost like you're saying, one man's got too much power.
Yeah, but again, that's a rule that Fox wasn't willing to do. Again, he broke his own ethical code of doing that, which is really interesting because, again, that's a reflection on the Joker, that he makes normal people, break their own ethical codes by doing things.
But then he does at the end have as we skip the whole film now talking about the end, but as he does have, when you finished, type in your name, he could have just not typed in his name and kept that power, but he didn't. He used it for what it was used for, what it was developed for, to find him, to catch him, and then he typed in his name and then watched it all blow up and left. So, it just shows that, it is too much power for one person, but it's how that person then uses that power and then whether they abuse it after the use is gone. Yeah.
I like the character of Harvey Dent. When you see him from the start, when he's in the courtroom and he's with Rachel and he's interrogating or questioning one of Mark, is it Salvatore Moroni, one of his goons, and he's getting him to turn on him, and he doesn't. He pulls out that gun and he just basically takes it apart and smacks a guy in the face. And I think he's such a good character. I've not seen him in anything else, but he's just a really, really good character. He's so right for that role.
I did not like that scene. I was not a fan of that scene.
Why not?
I basically thought it was far too cheesy and goofy. The way he just did it, and he goes, "This is American-made gun," and I was just like, "Really, seriously? Oh dear."
Yeah, but it's just a little bit of cheese, isn't it? It's just a little bit of American cheese to start with.
No, I agree, but this film should not be cheesy. No, I know, but I think it took away a bit from the film. Or it took me kind of out of the mood I was in. If that makes sense. I got back at it straight away afterwards. I mean, maybe it was just me then. I just thought that was a tiny bit cheesy for my liking.
But it shows a bit of cheese at the start, where he should have bought American, all that type of stuff. But then you can see him and how he develops.
Oh yes,
as
absolutely.
a character. So that bit of cheese at the beginning, then as he develops throughout to form the character at the end, that's maybe that little bit of light-hearted cheese and that little bit of all forcefulness. I'm doing everything for other people. He's DA and wants to lock up everybody. And in a really almost a cheesy way to start with, but then as the film goes on, you can almost see that he's getting more engrossed in the whole underworld and Batman, and he's actually realizing that the job is a lot more dodgy than maybe he first thought, and stuff like that. You can just see it develop as it goes through till obviously the end when he's going around killing people.
No, I think you're right. Like Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins, basically when he learnt about justice, and he needed to do things the right way, but he wasn't like that at the beginning of the film. He had this big arc. I think for this film, the character of Harvey Dent has the biggest storyline arc and character development in terms of he was this really, really good guy who got turned bad, and throughout that within the arc, as you were saying, I mean, Greg, there are incidents, for example, where he kidnaps that bloke after Lieutenant Gordon is allegedly killed, and basically you do see at times this dark side, almost his other face. Let's say, if you excuse the pun, this other face to him. So you see it's there, and let's be honest, mate. I mean, taking examples, him turning into a bad guy is done so much better than, for example, the Star Wars films when they did it to Anakin.
Yeah, it was a lot more. It was more impactful, but in this, it's done over a film, isn't it? Whereas that's done over a many,
and they still failed. But yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, this is done in like 120 minutes of film, whereas that's done in possibly
six plus hours, probably
a few days of my life I'll never get back. But yeah.
So no, yeah, and I think I think for me, in terms of character development and story, he's got the most interesting from start to finish when you look at that film as a whole. I mean, what do you think, Stu, and them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the part of the start, they're kind of building his character up, because you go from the court scene to where Jim Gordon meets Dent, and they're talking about, obviously, their conflicting ideas and trust issues with regards to dirty cops and who to trust, and that's when they mention that he was internal affairs, and that's when they called him Two-Faced Dent back then, didn't they?
Yeah.
When it was an IA. So they're building the character up for Dent of that he does follow these codes and that he's all about doing the right thing, which obviously is the controversial part of the end where he goes on to do the wrong thing. So I think all part of it's just one step after another of building, as you said, James, that they build Dent's character up so you thoroughly understand what he's about and what direction he's going in, for him then to change once he obviously turns into Two-Face.
Yeah, because you look at Batman, for example, and the Joker. Neither of them have really big arcs. I mean, they've got big story arcs, but arcs where their character actually develops. I mean, we learn more about the Joker, and it arguably becomes more of a mystery towards the end of the film. We learn more about both of them, but they don't really have that same story arc, that beginning and ending, that kind of like Harvey Dent does in terms of development.
No, and they show that when they go out for a meal in the restaurant, where it's Rachel and Dent and Bruce Wayne and that ballerina, and they start talking about the White Knight, and then Bruce Wayne starts looking at Harvey Dent as his predecessor, someone who's wanting justice, someone who is a face rather than a mask, someone fighting crime behind a mask. So again, when you first watch it, you could think, well, is Harvey Dent going to take over from Batman? And when Batman's going to take a step back, because throughout the film, again, you listen to Bruce Wayne when he's Batman wanting to stop fighting crime when someone can take over, so he can settle down with Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what did you think then about the characters' story arcs, all of them?
Well, with Harvey Dent, I think, I've got to disagree with you guys. I think, okay, it built up like a background to Harvey Dent, but I think the changeover from good to bad was all a bit too sudden, really, because it was all when he was in hospital and the Joker comes to see him, and I'm thinking, this guy's just killed your, the love of your life, and he flicks a coin and goes, "You're going to live," and then the next time you see him, he's like a bad guy. I thought that was a bit too kind of quick.
See, I didn't. I thought that at first. I completely agree with you at first, but upon watching the film a couple of times, I think, as I mentioned earlier, you do see Harvey Dent have this temper, and you see it a couple of times that he does have that. That he does have that temper and can lose control, especially when things are close to the heart. For example, with that guy that killed Lieutenant Gordon. He was going too far. And even Batman turned up and said, if anyone sees you like this, it will be over in terms of, your career or all the hard work we've done. And I do think they do give a few hints before. But when I first watched the film, I completely agree. I would have completely agreed with you, Nim. And I still think there is an argument there that after what happens, he does potentially, I think, turn too quickly.
But it's what the Joker says to him, though, isn't it? That's what turns him.
Yes, it's final straw kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it so much, that the Joker can turn him so quick, and he blames the plan that basically Batman came up with and Jim Gordon came up with, and that's it. I mean, it's that hospital scene in itself. I thought was a fantastic scene, but it's what he says that then makes Dent want to take vengeance on everyone who was involved, including Batman and Jim Gordon as well. That's why I went after them. And again, I think you have to watch it 2 or 3 times to understand this, because he talks about everyone being the schemers did this to him, and that the rules don't work.
Yeah.
And so the fact that when Dent doesn't kill the Joker just again proves that he's won, and he's manipulated him. He's told him that the rules that you're trying to follow clearly don't work because Rachel's dead. Rachel's dead because Gordon and Batman were following these rules, and they were telling you to follow these rules, and they've clearly let you down. So
let's talk about obviously Rachel Dawes, because I'm still a bit confused. I know I mentioned it to you, Stu. Okay, we all know the fantastic scene where Batman is interviewing in his unique way the Joker. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Joker says where they both are, right?
Yeah.
Batman, okay, he ends up saying they both are. You need to hurry. You've got to choose. You haven't got time to save each one. So the police go after one. Batman goes after the other one. I still watch it. Batman says he's going after Rachel, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He does.
So
but the Joker flips the addresses, doesn't he?
It's the Joker that flips the address. So Batman, wanting to save Rachel, inadvertently saves Harvey Dent, which he initially did not want to do, and the police were meant to save Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay, why did the Joker do that, do you think?
Again, because it's that control. He knows. He said he knew that Batman would go and that he'd save one of them.
Yes.
So, and he said in that interrogation about Rachel being his squeeze, and that when he threw her out the window, he saw how fast that he reacted to go and save her. So he just flipped it. So Rachel died. I mean, it's more of an impact, isn't it?
That is true.
So, which is why he did it. So that's why he's laughing. Even when he's getting the crap beaten out of him by that bloke, he's already set the wheels in motion, and he knows that he's got Batman again, because he's trying to make Batman break his rules. So that's the reason why I think he did it, because he flipped the addresses and knew that Rachel wouldn't be saved and that she'd die.
Okay.
And if Rachel dies, Harvey is obviously in a relationship with her. It's going to affect Harvey Dent. He can then manipulate Harvey Dent into doing what he wants, and then he can hurt Batman and try and make Batman break his own rule because he's killed the woman that Batman loves.
So it was all part of his big plan, essentially.
Yeah, that's what I honestly believe that it is. Yeah.
Okay, because it could be. Because the interesting thing, and I don't think he came up with that plan until he obviously gate crashed. Obviously, Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne's party.
Yeah, and I think he mentions that as well. But yeah, that's the way I see it anyway.
What do you think, Nim and Graham?
I think,
I'd say that makes sense. What Stu's saying. I mean, it definitely kind of it again leads on to the fact that the Joker is a very, very calculated person, and he's using every single kind of situation and changing his plan accordingly to kind of get what he wants out of people. So, yeah, no, I agree with you, Stu.
Yeah.
I think that it can sometimes, in general, it can take that one drastic thing to change quickly. So the change from good to bad wasn't too quick, but it was the realization of when he fell over and the barrel fell over with him. He started to almost drink the probably gasoline that was in the canisters. It's then you could see you could see the anger on his face because he was just. And then when he heard that she obviously died, you could almost feel the anger and see the anger in his face, and you knew that something was going to happen. And then obviously in the hospital, all you need is that one person just to say something to him. And even when he looked at the coin, and he looked at his double-headed coin, and he sees that one side is normal and the other side is black.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
That's when you can, without his injuries, without even the Joker being there. When Batman left the coin, and then you can just see when he cries, he didn't even cry really because he couldn't. And then he's got this coin when everything went his way before. A double-headed coin, everything goes his way, and then suddenly half the coin is black, and it doesn't go his way anymore. So the change, although it does come across as quick, but I don't think it was too quick.
Okay, continuing with the Harvey Dent character then. Do you? Some people have said about the film there was not enough Two-Face. He was a very short-lived villain that should have had arguably a bigger role or continued into the next film. I felt it was quite short, but there was a reason behind it, and it played very well into the next film. And if you remember, this Batman universe is a new universe. It's not copying the comics, or it's not copying Tim Burton's films. It's his own universe. I was quite happy with the Two-Face short beginning and ending in terms of of that Two-Face storyline, not Harvey Dent, but when he became Two-Face. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that back then, when you were waiting for the third instalment, that it wouldn't have surprised me that if Dent wasn't dead, to be honest, that if Harvey Dent did come back, it really wouldn't have surprised me because, I mean, you didn't see him, you saw him laying there, but I mean, the way things work out, I mean, if I was watching a third Batman and they had Bane and Dent and different characters, I wouldn't have been surprised. And I thought Dent was a good character, but if he would have come back, it would have been really good. But the way he was killed off fitted the circumstances of his death, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say you didn't really take any negative in the way they handled Two-Face's character come the end.
No, I mean, he'd been such a massive character throughout the film, and you saw both sides of him. And when he died, I thought it was quite a fitting death. I mean, you could look at it that Batman obviously jumped to save Jim Gordon's son, and or did he push Harvey Dent off? You really don't know. I mean, did he break his own code at the end and kill Harvey Dent? I really don't know. But it depends how far you look into it. But I thought it was quite a fitting ending, and I don't think they could have done much more with him.
No? Okay, fair enough.
Well, the only thing you would go back and it would be vengeance against Rachel's death and stuff, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be. There's nothing else for him to really, get his teeth into, if that makes sense. At the start, it would be almost like he's in. If he went into the next film, then he would almost be killed off at the beginning because there wasn't really a lot else for him to keep doing apart from going around killing people.
Yeah,
obviously that's not necessary.
Which is the same with the Scarecrow in the car park scene. The whole first film is obviously the Scarecrow and what he wants to do to Gotham, but then he's only in the first 15 minutes of it, very briefly, as a cameo, and gets captured by Batman. So, I mean, you could say the same thing could happen to Dent if he was in a follow-up film. So, and I didn't think it was that negative. I thought it was quite funny that the Scarecrow's turned into a drug dealer working with the mob from how big he was in the first film.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I just like. I mean, going back to the start, I love them when you first see the Joker when he's actually speaking, having a proper role. Is that mob meeting?
Yes.
when he's nicked, was it £68 million, and Mr. Lau's obviously on the telly, and Mr. Lau's taking the money out, and he's taking the money back to China, and the Joker arrives, and that's when you see him do that magic trick, which it really is fantastic. I mean, when I first saw that, I just thought, wow, it was incredible. I mean, it's so evil, and he just laughed. He just went da-da, and he just put a pencil through that geezer's head. It's fantastic. It just goes to show the direction that the Joker's going to go in from here. He'll just kill anyone. He's got mayhem all over him. I love that.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And again, I think he's crazy, and that he starts talking about, and I like the fact that Mr. Lau takes the money back, and he says he'll squeal, and he says Batman has no jurisdiction, and that Lau's weak, and the weak will squeal, and I think that's such a brilliant line, that he's not got any fear, he's not afraid of dying, and Lau's talking to the whole mob about his money and the control, and that he just says Lau's going to squeal, I know a squealer, and that's what happened. And again, he's talking about Batman will go anywhere, and I like the fact that Batman did go anywhere, that he's not just...
Yeah, he basically he preempts everything, doesn't he? He's telling you almost what's going to happen, and it does.
Yeah, I thought that was a brilliant move in the film, to be honest, that it's not just everything happens in Gotham, that he then went to Hong Kong to go and get Lau and bring him back again, because he's got no jurisdiction whatsoever. He can go where he wants. Yeah,
and I think I think IMDb confirmed that that's the first time we've obviously had a Batman film where he's gone to another country in a movie.
Yeah.
So.
I thought that was brilliant, and the way he goes in, and the Fox goes over there and meets him, and that he had that meeting because he suspected Lau was dodgy anyway, just so he can go over there.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good touch in the film as well, that Lucius Fox goes all the way there just to say he's not interested.
It was very Mission Impossible, I thought, in a good way. The way that was done.
That hook was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. And it was mentioned, wasn't it, of how can you get him out of the building. And when it actually happened, I thought that was a brilliant touch. It really was a good touch.
No, absolutely. It was fantastic, and I think because obviously what happens and the fact that the Joker's right, they obviously decide to hire the Joker. We're assuming that happens because that conversation doesn't quite happen. They don't turn around and say, "Yes, Joker, you're hired." This. I mean, the way the storyline plays, once again, Christopher Nolan trusts his audience to make those kind of assumptions.
Yeah. I don't think that doesn't really have to be pointed out, does it? And I like that about Nolan. He doesn't have to point obvious facts out.
No, and I think the only time it is pointed out is probably arguably when you've already made that decision anyway, when I think Alfred's talking about it, but when he's talking about the Joker, and that's when he says his story that Graham was saying, but about some people just want to see the world burn. It was in that scene, I think, when he says,
Yeah, I love that line, yeah.
Yeah, basically saying Batman has stretched the mob to the limits, the bad guys to the limits, that, of course, they're going to fight back, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and that's just spot on. I mean, a lot of the things Alfred doesn't really play a huge part in this film, does he?
No, I think out of all the films, in terms of part and significant role he plays, other than that story, I think other than that particular scene, he doesn't really, I mean, he's there, but he's not really in the film as much as even the first Batman and the last one.
No, but what he does in the film is really important, even burning that letter from Rachel.
Yes.
I thought that was brilliant. Really, really good. With the fact that obviously the Bruce Wayne or Batman was going to stop everything because he was going to go, and obviously he believed still the agreement they had when they were younger, that once in the first one, when you stop it, I'll be there waiting. And that's what he actually believed. And that when he read the letter, that Rachel said, well, no matter what, I'll be there for you, but I love Harvey Dent. I don't love you, and I'm going to settle down with him. That he protected Bruce Wayne and let Bruce Wayne believe that was still possibly going to happen and that she loved him. I thought that was really important, and it was a really good touch.
Yeah, and once again, it plays into the next film.
Yeah, exactly. What did you think about that, Nim? If you were awake in that bit, what did you think?
Well, the bit of the burning of the letter, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, again, it just shows like the kind of human side to Alfred. You know, like he's been a father figure to Bruce Wayne, hasn't he? And again, it's a nice little touch. He cares for him and doesn't want him to get upset. Look, the question is, what would he have done anyway if he had found out that she wasn't going to, leave Harvey Dent? Would he have given up his cape? I don't know, but it was a nice little touch.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, and it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if he would have read that letter and how that would have affected him and what direction it would have taken the film.
Absolutely.
I think it kind of what was in the letter was pretty much said in the film anyway, really, wasn't it? It was like at the end and stuff because she had already committed to him, and I think Bruce Wayne kind of knew that, or Batman kind of knew that.
I don't think he did.
I think he must have had an underlying kind of inkling when he's sitting there at the end just before Alfred burns the letter, and when Alfred takes him breakfast, he's sitting there, full costume on without the hat, looking out over the skyline of Gotham, and he's like, you can kind of almost feel, and he kind of, Batman almost implies what's already been implied about the letter, so he kind of like, that's why I think Alfred takes it away and burns it, because he kind of knows that deep down that's how Bruce feels about her, now she's gone, type thing.
I don't know. I thought he kind of took that letter away because he wanted Batman to carry on to stop the Joker. And if he would have read that letter, he wouldn't have carried on. There wouldn't have been anyone. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll never know. We'll never know, Stu.
Yeah. I mean, it goes on, and Lau obviously gives up all his clients, doesn't he, for immunity for himself.
Yeah, he squeals, just like the Joker said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 549 criminals go and get arrested. And then that moves on to when, obviously, the Joker starts knocking off all the judge and the commissioner, and he
attempted Harvey Dent.
Yeah, attempted Harvey Dent. Does he go for the mayor as well?
He does, but not at the same time. He did later on, didn't he? Yeah.
I mean, when I first watched it, when Dent's in the mayor's office chatting to him, and that copycat Batman with the painted Joker face, that's when it smashes against the window, doesn't it?
That scared the crap out of me at the cinema.
Yeah, that was the first one. That really
did make me jump.
That really did. And again, that was pretty disturbing as well. When you think, what is this film, mate? It's a PG, is it?
No, it's a 12.
It's 12. I mean, that's quite horrific. And the videos that the Joker sends out.
The YouTube style homemade ones he does.
They're proper torture, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's very much kind of like the terrorist Al Qaeda videos. That
I was just about to say, like Taliban style videos, aren't they?
Yeah, with the guys there waiting to be executed, having to read a message out, some kind of homage to a particular person before they're killed. They're really impactful, and they're quite scary as well. So I don't know how they managed to get this past the border classification, because some of them, and even the Joker himself, with it's so different. His face isn't painted perfectly like the other Jokers. It looks really messy. His scars are really visible, and I mean, it's quite horrific, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Heath Ledger on the IMDb info or trivia thing, he wanted it. He wanted it to make it look like that the Joker just put the makeup on with his hand, and it was very unprofessionally done, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's a good touch as well. I don't think it would have been the same if the makeup would have been put on perfectly. It wouldn't have fitted the character he was trying to portray.
No, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think in the Michael Keaton Batman, Joker's face was actually white. It was bleached by the chemical he fell in. And when he does show his makeup, when he does show his skin, that is actually makeup in the film. But his skin's actually white. His face is actually white.
Yeah.
That was the idea, I think.
Yeah.
But does the makeup being applied and all that type of stuff for this particular Joker add to the, you're unsure, why does he cover up his face? Is he insane, or is he just a little bit,
Yeah, maybe, because let's be honest, he's not, even though he's covering his face up, he's not covering up the scars, because he quite openly talks about them, even though he's arguably making up stories of how they happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first time he makes one up was when he plays dead and he gets put on that pool table, and when he speaks to that guy, and he says, isn't that then when did he? Is that one where he says his dad did it, or
Yeah, why so serious? And his dad says, "Why so serious?" Yep.
yeah? And when he goes to the dinner party, he then tells a completely different story about his wife saying that he doesn't smile. So then he cuts his own face.
I thought that was brilliant because the first time he said it against the mob, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's how you got." I believed him.
Yeah, I did.
And then the second time he says it, well, you think, okay, both of them are bull, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they are believable.
Yes.
Yeah, he said he did it himself for his wife, didn't he? Then his wife hated the way he looked.
Yeah.
And obviously then he has a fight with Batman and Rachel gets chucked out the window. But again, I noticed that the stories are different. And I kind of thought, well, is that something that they got wrong? But when you watch the film a few times and know what he's like, he's just spontaneous madness, isn't it? He just says things that will affect different people in different ways.
No, absolutely. One thing I did want to comment on, though, was what did you guys think? Probably Nim in particular, because it's the first time he's watched, obviously, Batman and the Dark Knight in quick succession, and for the first time. Nim, what did you think of the casting difference from Katie Holmes, obviously, to the other Rachel, the two Rachels?
I preferred this one. I can't pronounce her surname, Maggie. How do you pronounce her surname? Maggie something.
I'm not even going to try. I'll just defecate it.
Does anyone know how to pronounce it? I prefer this one. And I remember on the last one when I actually said the film that I could remember Christian Bale being in was American Psycho, and I recognised Maggie from American Psycho. She was the leading lady in that, so it was a nice, pleasant surprise to see her again in this one. But I think she is much better as a Rachel than Katie. I think she's got a bigger part to play in this as well, so that might have something to do with it.
It's more significant, obviously, isn't it? The part, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think, Stu and Graham?
What about yeah, she was a huge improvement. I mean, I wouldn't have minded seeing Katie Holmes getting blown up at the end of it. I really wouldn't.
I'd agree with that one.
She turned it down, didn't she, Katie Holmes?
Did she turn it down?
I think I was looking at the trivia. She apparently turned it down to do another film because I thought they didn't want her, but then I heard that the other story says she turned it down. I don't know. So
I did another Dawson's Creek, and she wanted to get on the back of that again. I don't know.
Yeah, big mistake really turning that down, but never mind.
Yeah, I love the auditor when Fox asks him to go through and he comes up with the plans and he finds the Batmobile, doesn't he? And he wants $10 million a year for life.
Yes.
It's what? So you want to blackmail a vigilante who goes out beating the crap out of people? He says, "Good luck."
Yes, that was one of the best. That was one of the funniest lines in the film. I thought that was brilliant. And the interest, and talking about that once again, obviously when Joker gets on there and says basically he wants this man done.
Yeah, I like that, and I thought it was really good when he was on the chat show because they're asking for the Batman to reveal himself, aren't they?
Yeah,
and it makes you wonder because he's asking for money at the start of it, but then again it's an ethical question: is he doing it? Is he on the chat show to reveal Batman to save other people's lives, or is it because he wants to get paid a lot of money and do a book and things like that? Again, it makes you think, for what reason is he actually doing this for?
I thought that he might be on it because of the way that it portrayed for me. I thought he might be on it because of the Joker maybe put him up to it. It kind of almost gave that impression as well, that maybe he was on there as obviously he's tried it once and failed miserably in the office, and then he was an easily manipulated character. Someone that
Joker call into the program.
Yeah.
Because I think it comes down to the interrogation when he's talking to Batman. He says, "I don't want to kill you. You complete me," and I think he doesn't want Batman revealed because if Batman's revealed and everyone knows who he is, there won't be a Batman.
Well, he does at first though because he says he wants Batman's mask off, doesn't he?
Yeah, but then it kind of flips again, doesn't it? And I think it's one of those things where you look at it in what direction is it going in. You can look at it both sides, couldn't you?
Yes, you could.
But yeah, I just thought that was a particularly good scene. In the parade as well, it was. I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Email if I'm wrong, but isn't it the Joker is actually there dressed up in police uniform, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, just with no makeup on.
That was the first time. No matter how I've watched it, Christ knows how many times. Probably 6th or 7th time I've watched it now. The first time I noticed that, and I was really surprised. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, because he's the one that takes the shot at the mayor. He's the one that is. Although obviously you've got the whole guard of honour there that are doing, for the salute.
Yeah.
That are obviously, criminals, but he is actually the one that takes the shot. He's the shooter at the mayor.
I didn't know that. I didn't see it when I first, or the last 6 times I've seen it. But I thought that was brilliant. I was really excited when I saw that. I'm a sad man, but never mind.
No, yeah, but that's what I love about films like that. They people will not necessarily notice things for no fault of their own. And this is one of those films where I think you can watch it 2-3 times a year, and even after a couple of years, you're still gonna see things, even if it's a tiny thing, but things you hadn't initially noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brilliant. And I like the touch of the blind going up as well, and that's everything's on the timer, and then taking a shot at Batman. I thought that was a good touch.
Yes, that was brilliant, wasn't it? That was fantastic. So what I did like, correct me if I'm wrong, the not premonition, but preempting or foreshadowing. We know when Batman was going on about his suit, wanting it to be lighter.
Yeah, so he could turn his head.
So he could turn, that cracked me up. So he could turn his head. I did like. Was it really foreshadowing, or am I just being a complete geek, guys? Where they said it should help you against dogs, big paws, and even cats, or something like that. They said, and I thought, ooh, Catwoman, when I first saw it.
I don't know. I didn't catch on to that bit. I knew the dog bit.
Yeah, I didn't notice that bit.
No, I didn't notice either.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, there you go. Proving my point. Just another thing. I thought, oh, Catwoman. When I first saw that, I remember hearing that and thinking, oh, is that foreshadowing for a Catwoman in the next film? And obviously, she is in the next film. But there you go.
Yeah.
The film is based 9 months after Batman Begins ends, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of short-ish in the way, because you see that Batman has made a massive difference. Criminals are scared. They see his logo up in the skies, and people are scared. I'd imagine, Graham, if you're a crime fighter and they beam the light up in the sky, people will be equally scared as well. I would.
In what way do you mean, James?
Pardon?
In what do you mean?
What James means, if you were younger, what kind of superhero would you be? Is that right, James?
Yeah. And what symbol would you use in the sky?
I honestly don't know.
Would it be a sports symbol?
No. No, probably not, Stu, really. No, not very sporty.
You can imagine it, Stu. Alleyway, 2 muggers, give me your money, and then a big football appears in the sky, and they're like, no, never mind.
Just Graham's giant chin just appears.
Just a big. Well, that's true. I did say. I think while you're away, Stu, we're waiting for you to come back on. That Graham probably out of all of us has the best chin to be Batman.
Yes, definitely. He'd have to shave though. He'd have to keep himself neat.
No, I can't shave. That exaggerates the chin even more.
And let's be honest, he's probably got the best figure. He's probably the fittest as well. And I'm not actually taking the mick. I think that's a fact.
There isn't a lot of competition, is there? To be honest?
No, there's not. But I think he wins it all hands down.
I'll take that backhanded compliment, James. Thank you.
It's not a backhanded compliment. I didn't give you a backhanded. I gave you a compliment, and Stu just converted it corrupted it into a backhanded compliment.
Thank you.
That's all right. Before we obviously get into our worst bits, best bits of the ratings, does anyone have anything else to say about the Dark Knight?
Yeah, there's shitloads to say, isn't there?
Yeah, we could go on for another hour if you want.
But you've missed out the bit about the ferries. I thought that was a pretty good thing.
Of course. Thank you, Nim. Yeah, Talk to me about the ferries.
Well, no, I just enjoyed that bit because I thought, they're going to blow up the convicts.
Did you think the convicts were going to?
And that who was that guy? He's been in Friday and stuff. The black guy who then chucks the remote out. He's quite a well-known actor, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a huge geezer, isn't he?
And I thought, is that another character they're kind of developing or something? Because I thought, I don't know what he could develop into, but obviously he's quite a famous guy. So
yeah, there's so much, isn't there? You got the press conference where Harvey Dent calls himself up as Batman, and you kind of think, was Bruce Wayne really going to come forward and confess himself to be Batman?
It looked like he was, though. This is what I got confused.
His body language, he was like very much.
Yeah. But then it was a big plan for Harvey to admit it in the first place. Even though when you go back to the press conference again, you watch it again, Bruce Wayne was about to step forward and almost looked surprised when Harvey Dent does it. I don't know, but I thought that was confused because when you find out later, it was a big plan. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought my opinion was that Wayne didn't know that he was going to say that I'm Batman, but then he realizes that the Joker will then go after him. So he lets it then go. Then afterwards, when they come up with a plan, that Joker's then going to target him, and that's when they try and obviously get Joker when he's transporting him to like his safe house or the prison.
Because
So
Rachel's quite annoyed about that, isn't she? She's talks to Alfred about that to kind of say how disappointed she is that Bruce lets him.
Yeah, and that's why I thought that it wasn't kind of a preempted step forward that I'm Batman. That afterwards, then they thought, well, okay, then that the Joker doesn't believe that he's Batman, so then the Joker will target Dent because that's what he wanted to do all along, didn't he?
Yeah, I see.
So I don't know, and I thought the Batpod was a brilliant touch as well, and I love the fact that when the Batpod's released, obviously it's the front wheel comes along, that the axle takes the other front wheel, and then it just comes out. I think it's brilliant the way it flips when it turns around. I just think it's so good, such a good touch, brilliant design.
It was, and the thing I like about the design about Nolan's things is they're a lot more believable than any other Batman series or anything like that.
Yeah, 'cause it's not CGI; it is an actual bike, and you don't get the stupid CGI like you did in the Star Wars films, where it just goes over the top. But this has got the air of realism to it.
Stu, what kind of budget do you think they spent on this film? Because, like you say, if they've built all these things that actually work, that must have cost a fortune.
I'll have a look. I'll see if they've got the budget on there. I mean, it must have been huge. The fact that they're filming the whole thing in IMAX anyway.
Yeah.
This film's in the top 10 of all time in takings, isn't it? As well.
Yeah, it's got massive takings. It beat Batman Begins in the first 6 days or something.
Yeah.
They've got 185 million budget. That's what they estimated on there.
Goodness.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot.
Madness.
Yeah. When you think the takings of it in the opening weekend in the US, it was 158 million. So
wow,
it goes all the way around the world. I mean, it's kind of peanuts, isn't it, to how much a film actually made.
And I think it shows you how solid the first film was as well. Because if the first film had not have worked, not many people would have seen this one at first.
Yeah, and I think that's credit to Nolan as well. His idea, the plan he had, I think the credit's got to go to him, and again, plus the cast as well. It's so good. But, I think the part on the boat is a really key part as well, because again, it goes back to the people of Gotham and what the Jokers believe in, because you've obviously got the people on the boat who are the criminals, who are meant to be, they're put, scum, low life with no morals, and that they shouldn't have any say in what happens. And you've got the boat with the members of the public on, who have got families and males and females, and they're meant to be making the right decision. But again, it's the boat with the criminals on who ends up throwing the detonator out the window. And they're so sure that these people will do what he believes, that they will break their own moral codes. And again, that Batman obviously doesn't believe, and that the people end up doing the right thing. And again, that kind of that goes against the Joker, and he can't stand that. He can't understand it, so he's got his own detonator, hasn't he?
He does it, and interestingly, it's the first, I think, other than Batman not killing anyone, it's probably the first time the Joker has actually been shown to be as wrong, proven wrong, in all his little theories and everything, which is one of the other few times the Joker shows emotion.
Yeah. He did it just for pure anarchy, didn't he? And then to have the detonator there anyway, because he knew that at some point neither of them would do it. So he always had a backup, even if it did work. And one of them did blow the other one up. Then the brilliant. Otherwise, he got what he wanted in the end anyway. Both boats blown up by his detonator.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, yeah, you're right. And you look at it. Overall, it's quite a dark film. There's a lot less hope in this film, for example, than Batman Begins. it is full of darkness, and the Joker's always right. Harvey Dent ends up turning into Two-Face, and I think this is one of the very few, let's say, beams of light in the whole film where the people of Gotham, neither boat ends up blowing up. Because the people there kind of made the right decisions, almost sacrificing themselves, or they're shown to have some kind of moral at the end, and I think that's one of the few highlights in beams of light, or whatever you want to call it, in the actual film itself, in what really is quite a dark film from beginning to end.
Yeah, I love the bit before that where the Batman actually goes into the building. And you see him, he's got that sonar, and his eyes obviously light up light blue.
Yes.
I think that looks fantastic. And that he has to go through taking the clowns are obviously the hostages, and Batman has to then go and take the SWAT team out whilst Fox is giving the commentary. So I thought it was a really good touch that Fox was obviously there he's there on through talking through the sonar and giving him the commentary. I thought that was absolutely a brilliant part of the film.
Yeah, me too. And Fox plays a much bigger role in this one than he did in Batman Begins.
Yeah, he certainly is more influential, isn't
he? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Joker's laughing virtually all the way through it. Again, he's not scared. He's so sure at the end of it that his plan's going to work. And obviously he's got Harvey Dent as backup as well, hasn't he? Because he knows he's turned up Dent by then. So he kind of figures that even if he does die or does get captured, that Harvey Dent's going to carry on.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So he's got nothing to lose. His plan's working, and again, that's what I like about him. You say he's mad, but he's got all these contingencies waiting there, ready to cause bloody mayhem and everything else, which is great. So, but it's a shame. Obviously, he gets captured, doesn't he? And he gets arrested. The SWAT guys go. And I think it's just such a shame because, again, we're talking about that he can't obviously ever be in anything else, and he's kind of buggered it up by being so good that no one else can.
You're right, but just like the Scarecrow, Batman doesn't kill him. Even if he gets arrested, as we know, because the Joker's been arrested before, he can get out, and he did.
Yeah, because he would have gone to Arkham and stayed in Arkham and got out in the second one. But that's why maybe they could do something with the Joker, because there's a new Batman, and if Fox has walked out, will they bring Lucius Fox in again? I really don't know. I've not released that much. The title screen's obviously been released, but will there be another Alfred? How are they going to do these things?
No, exactly. I think it's a completely different universe. I think that's the only thing that would make sense for that new Batman Superman film. They can't try and follow the Nolan ones because it's going to be everyone is going to compare it anyway to the Nolan, the Batman. And I think if they try and mimic it and copy it and make it a continuation, I think it's going to fall flat on its face anyway.
Yeah, there's no way of doing it, is there?
No, I can't say it's going to work, and it's a shame really because he's such a good actor, he's such a good character for Joker, but it was the right person, the right time for this film.
So overall, then I guess, what do we all think about it?
I thought it was fantastic. For me, I'd happily watch it again and again. I could watch this 5 or 6 times a year, and it's just proved when I watched it last time that you can watch it and spot new things, and possibly see where another direction that the film was going in. I mean, for me, I'd give it 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5. Best bit, worst bit, Stu? If you could find a worst bit.
To be honest, I can't find a worst bit in this film. And again, the best bits, there are so many good bits, and watching it again, that I found a lot more of the storyline that I didn't notice before, and I don't know, I think the whole film is the best bit. I thought it was brilliant. And I enjoyed the fact that when I watched it, that I knew it wasn't going to end, that there was still more to come. And I know Nim said that the downside was it was such a long film, but it wasn't long enough for me. I mean, I could have watched 3 or 4 hours of that storyline, that acting, and I thought it was brilliant. A really, really good film.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to give it a 5. Like you, best bit for me, if I had to pick a best bit out, it's probably the Joker's performance. He really helps make that film, but I think he's one of the biggest jigsaws. But as I said, a jigsaw piece. We're talking about a massive puzzle. They all fit in. So I think without obviously Christian Bale, without obviously the Joker, without Harvey Dent, it would not be as good. They all fit together so nicely. But I think the Joker is that biggest puzzle piece there. In terms of worst bit, I'd probably have to say, if I'm forced to have a worst bit, if I had a gun to my head, it would probably be the courtroom scene where I thought was a bit cheesy. But 5 out of 5 for me. Nim and Graham.
I would
Go on.
then. I would say, 5 out of 5. It's an amazing film. Thoroughly enjoy it. A bit like Stu, I could watch it over and over and over again without even getting bored. Even though you know exactly how long's left, all that type of stuff, it's still really, really good. Best bit for me, I'd have to agree with you, James. Heath Ledger's Joker, just an amazing bit of acting. A worst bit for me is the courtroom scene when they've got all the however many 200 criminals all in there, all trying to get heard and stuff, and that was a little bit extreme. With Harvey Dent standing in front of them all going, "Look what I've done." But that's probably. But all in all, the film's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to probably say 4.5, and it's only because I've only seen it 1.5 times. I think, like Stu says, I've got to watch this film a good few times, and I'll probably pick up on things that I've missed. One thing I just wanted to say also, just the whole thing that the Joker set out to do is turn people, and he sees the three people who is, Gordon, Dent, and Batman as the three kind of crime fighters. And if you see, at the end of the film, the one thing I do remember is when Batman's running away, and Gordon's little boy goes, "Why is Batman running?" And he goes, "Because we've got to chase him." And because Batman says, if blame the deaths on me. And I thought that was quite a good, like the way they've ended that. I thought that was a pretty good, Batman's willing to kind of become a baddie, if anything. And is that what the Joker wanted? So
I never really thought about it from that point of view.
Nice. That's the one thing that kind of sticks in my head when he's running away and his little boy says that. The worst thing, that voice. You're right. I think you said to me last time, that voice gets worse and worse, and it has that kind of gruff, bloody noise. It's just ridiculous.
He's not going to like the next one, then, is he?
No, you really don't.
And the best bit, I think, from kind of what Stu said to me, I mean, I thought a lot of that was probably kind of computer generated stuff, but if that was realistic, they've actually made that motorbike and really blown up that building, then I just think, just all the different action sequences, I think that is probably got to be the best bits of the film.
Yeah, one of the stunt guys actually died in a car crash during the making of the film, so that's how they, that's how extreme the old stunts and stuff are.
I mean, yeah. I think overall, I think we will all struggle to get a film that we like so much. Basically, I mean, it's basically 0.5 away from perfection, I think, when you look at all of our scores. And I don't think we're all going to sit around Skype or around the desk again and agree so vividly on a film and how good it is. And
Well,
I think
the next one, it'll be the next one.
Potentially.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, look at that teaser. I mean, Nim, how are you looking forward to the next one? Because you haven't seen that either.
Yeah, no, definitely I am. I really want to see the next one. So,
what are you expecting?
Well, you guys are giving a bit of it away because I actually thought that Harvey Dent's character is probably going to come back. I didn't think he's dead, purely because they did the same thing to. I thought Gordon was dead, and then they brought him back. So. But I think you guys have let me know that he's definitely not coming back. So, and I'm not looking at any reviews or anything for it because I just want to kind of want it to be a surprise just to see who's in it and what's going on with that one.
I'm jealous. I think Stu is as well that you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I know. I'd love to go back and just watch these films again, having no idea about them. It would be fantastic. It really would. But I look forward to discussing the next one, Dark Knight Rises.
Excellent. So, any significant movie news before we go?
They're thinking of doing an Avatar 2.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That does not need a sequel.
Well, there's another couple of hours I'll miss in my life, or just not watch it, and I'll keep those hours somewhere.
I thought the first one wasn't bad. I mean, I went to the cinema, I watched it, I didn't regret watching it.
I fell asleep, and it was good. I had a really good sleep, but I fell asleep through the film, and I've seen it since on TV, but I don't know. It's really good, and for what it is not bad, but it's just not my cup of tea really. Those kind of films.
Okay.
So, and I've not yet seen Godzilla. I need to go and see Godzilla. I need to go and see Spider-Man as well.
I know. Me too. Well, I guess that's pretty much it then. Onwards to The Dark Knight, which I think because of scheduling, it's going to be a couple of weeks. I think until we get that one out.
Yeah. Well, someone's away on holiday, so yeah, we're a little while waiting for him to come back off holiday.
Yeah, well, there you go. It should be all the better then. Okay. Well, anyway, it's goodbye from me then.
Lovely. It's goodbye from me. Cheers, guys.
It's goodbye from me.
It's good evening from me.
Why is he running, Dad?
Because we have to chase him.
Okay, we're going in! Go, go! Move!
He didn't do anything wrong.
Because he's the hero Gotham deserves. But not the one it needs right now. So we'll hunt him. Because he can take it. Because he's not our hero. He's a silent guardian. A watchful protector. A dark knight.